Here's the beautiful Buckeye Bay. This is where I learned to swim. This is where Mom taught me how to swim right here. This is a great place. Look how great this Buckeye Bay is. So they put the fish shacks out there. And by the way, it's really hot right now. Really hot. I might take a dip. Let's just see what the water looks like. Looks kind of brown, but it looks kind of clear. Looks like I got a lot of geese or ducks or something, a lot of feathers here. I don't remember those. Just see what the water temperature's like here. Oh my gosh, it is warm. It's the warmest I've ever felt it. Of course, it is August. There used to be a little inlet, and I'm trying to find it right now. It's on. Here's the bay right here, and I kind of think it was right in here, but it was just this little long channel where we would build our rafts and then kind of play Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, even though I had no idea who those people were. But this is, I'm just wondering, the last 50 years, if that was a little marsh and eventually it just kind of filled in with all these trees. But this is, if I had to say where the location is, I'd say this is where it was, right in this really dense area of trees back here. And we'd build these great rafts. And, you know, I mean, I've looked on the Google, I don't see anything. But who knows? You know, a lot can happen in 50 years of vegetation overgrowing. It's just too thick even to kind of foray in there without who knows what, you know, being in the way. But I do think, again, this is a great place for a family. Take the kids swimming. You see the bay's like glass today. Just like glass. It looks gorgeous. I remember these logs here. It looks like old telephone poles, but we'd push these out and ride on them. And one day a big tank floated in. It's kind of funny. It looked like maybe a gas tank. Maybe held 500 or maybe 1,000 gallons. We tried to get on it, but it would just roll over in the water. But this is actually a pretty good place to sit. Parents to watch their kids, etc. And the water's real warm today. Looks like a lot of vegetation growth out there. But yeah, piles of something, some type of building material out there. But it's a beautiful day in Gladstone. It feels like it's about, right now, it feels like at least it's about 80. The sun probably, well, way hotter. Okay, here I am dipping back into the Buckeye Bay. Okay, I'd say the water is probably at least 75 to 80. I suppose you want me to get a few sieves off the Buckeye Bay. Yeah, I don't know what these things are, but remember we used to get arrowheads here. A lot of old brick here. This feels like tar. Old log in the bottom there. But the water is warm, no doubt about it. Warmest I've ever remember it. Yeah, I'm curious about what kind of rock this is. I remember taking a piece of this to school, and I thought it was like obsidian, where you make arrowheads out of, and I brought it to my teacher. I think Mrs. Erickson said, "That's slag." And I said, "What's slag?" Yeah, it chips very nicely, make a nice arrowhead. He said, "Slag," he said, "what hard, you know, comes out of the sewage system." I don't know. But there's a lot of it here, and I think it'd still make good arrowheads. Down at the Buckeye Bay. Totally. So I'm just walking back from on the other side of the tracks in Buckeye Bay. It's interesting these tracks still work. You know, they looked so abandoned for all that time, but it looks like they just shoved some trains down here, whether it's for storage or something, but it seems to be a lumber company that did it. And again, here's that fence. There's the substation, the police station, and Gladstone flowers, Gladstone junk on the ground, Gladstone ferns, I remember those. Not Fern Hall, of course. A little moss. Yeah. An ant's view of Gladstone. Yeah, I remember this kind of moss. That's a great place. You know, there's the second sandhill. I wonder if that's sandhill, if we ever played there. This log actually shows some promise for maybe finding a couple of snakes. Let's just see it. Yeah, let's see. Oh, I found a little cricket. Nothing under here. Interessante. Some good looking lichen though. Okay, I've come across a big old log here, tree, and this is probably a tree Pa cut down 100 years ago. And but you know, it's got some barbed wire in it. Kind of interesting. But I think that Pa certainly saw this tree, and Mom did, and Dad did. And I'm going to walk over to what maybe this was the sandhill, but I remember the sandhill being coming directly off of our house. And I kind of remember this one, but this was kind of for uptown kids. I'm going to go take a look. Behind me is where the saddle tree is, or used to be, the descendants of the saddle tree right here. And one day we were playing and Beetle was there and he had to really go home and go to the bathroom. So he went down to the saddle tree and he kind of ran and hobbled his way over here. And he got to just the point where like our trash can we used to burn the trash was in. And we wondered why he stopped, and he yelled for us to come over. And then he pointed down and apparently he couldn't hold it, so there was his, well, the sausage kind of laying down by his pant leg, and he was so skinny it just went right down his pant leg, and that was pretty funny. So there's the old saddle tree. We're up in the saddle tree. All along, all out in the fields out here are these little depressions, and I'm sure this is where we built our forts, and you know, over the time, obviously they've caved in and filled in, but there's still just a little indent to recognize that at one time we were here. And we built some great forts. We dig down and line them with planks we got from the lumber yard, and then build the second story on them. And here's another one over here. Here's another one, a pretty deep one over here. Johnny Johnson probably helped us with this one to get down real deep, but they were deep enough that you could stand in. And they'd have a little roof on them. There's their house over there.